Welcome to Speaking of Jazz with Manny Kellogg, and in association with jazztribe.news. Now let's get started.
Well, jazz lovers, good afternoon, and I'd like to say hello to you. And as always, it's a pleasure to come to you every week. And this week, I'm very proud and honored to have a master drummer, also a fantastic percussionist. He plays all of the percussion instruments. He's an educator. He's been in the military band. Also, I understand that he is an author as well, and we'll get into that in just a minute. I'd like to introduce him, and I'd like to say hello to my good friend, Mr. Greg Holloway. How you doing, my man? Let's talk.
I'm doing well, Manny. How are you doing? And thanks for having me here. It's a privilege to be here and to talk to you. And you know how I felt about you when I first met you.
Bless your heart, man. You know, I just grown to know your name since I've been out here, and I have heard nothing but positive things about Greg Holloway. So today I just want to sit back and relax, man, and let our listeners know who Greg Holloway is, what he does, where he came from. And I'm going to start off by asking you, where you from, man?
I'm from Washington, DC, native Washingtonian, Northeast side.
All right.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school in DC?
Yes, I went to elementary school through high school, and I did my undergraduate at Howard University, which was a great experience for me. I attended undergrad 75 through 80, and it was some heavy folks there: Jerry Allen, Wallace Roney, Clarence C. I mean, it was just a blessing. Very fortunate to just walk down the halls and see those folks and be motivated with those folks.
I hear you. Well, staying in that vein, who were some of your most influential people that you were listening to coming up all the way through school and through your career?
You know, that's a good question, and I thought about it, and I have thought about it over the years. My influences have changed since I've grown. You know, so I didn't stay in one place and listen to, I'm sure you can attest to this, one person. But I would say, one of my major influences was my father and my brother. My father was a cabaret musician.
Okay.
We used to rehearse here and at our home. And then my brother was in a band and used to do radio shows, live TV / radio shows during that time. And I used to see those guys, my father and my brother, rehearse. But once I got out of that mode, I was listening to what normal teenagers do. I mean, I was listening to Mandrill, Antonio Santiago, Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
I mean, just learning that pocket. And of course, I was at Grand Central Station and the other recordings that you've done. I mean, I've just listened to a lot of folks during that time. Then my appetite and diet changed, went the exact opposite. Max Roach was my hero for a long time.
I hear you, man.
Max Art, and then later off, I branched off from that. And, I was listening to symphonic music too at the same time.
Very good, man. Actually, I know you have worked with various people all over the country and all around. Who are some of the artists that you have worked with and are working with to this day?
Some of the artists, I'm going to throw this in here, because you're from LA, you remember the Merv Griffin show?
Yes, I do.
One of those recordings there, I was on a Merv Griffin way back with Robert Goulet and Sherry Belafonte, and that must have been in the 80s. But I was Aretha Franklin's East Coast Call percussionist for about 14 years. So anytime she came on this side, because they traveled with the corps and they would pick up horn, strings, or whatever. So I played their mallet and temp book, and she had a Latin percussionist, and of course she brought her drummer. but I did her for about 13 or 14 years. Linda Clifford, disco artist, done her. Freda Payne did a play with her, a show, a tribute to Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and actually I got a chance, and Gregory Hines was the producer. And they wanted a drummer that was short to play Chick Webb. But I had learned my lines, so he said, we're going to keep you, but you're tall, so you don't stand up. Just stay seated and say your lines. So that was funny. And then Martha Reeves and the Vandellas did her for 3 years, and that was interesting and educational at the same time, touring, traveling with her. Mary Wilson.
Yeah.
Mary Wilson. And, growing up doing that, my earlier development, played with magicians, Blackstone the Magician, comedians. That was very exciting to stay on your toes, to watch them, watch the music, and watch the MD.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. And so it was very exciting to do those kind of, and have that kind of opportunity. Hank Jones, Jimmy Heath, and from the straight ahead mode, and sort of eclectic kind of experiences. And I'm not working with any national acts now, just available if the phone rings. Sort of COVID cut everything out for a while.
It sure did. Yeah.
Now, I had my last trip with Martha 2019 that November, and ever since then, for me, it's dried up.
Yeah, that the pandemic kind of knocked everybody out of pocket for a while, But I think things are slowly starting to come back around, and we stay prayerful to hope things get back to where we can get back out there, But that's all we can say,
Yeah, for sure.
I know that you can probably go on this next question. What are some of the most you started on some funny things a bit ago? What are some of the most funniest stories that you can tell us about, and want the listeners to know about? Come on with it.
It's funny and embarrassing at the same time. Sometimes they go hand in hand. It's various stories. One comes to my mind. I was actually in the Air Force band, and Al Vizzuti was the soloist. And if you know Al Vizzuti, he's done all the television and all the high trumpet parts in all the movies. I mean, the guy was a beast. So we worked through this whole jazz band piece, and it was this long cadenza at the end. So we rehearsed it, and he did his cadenza. That was it. And during his cadenza, he wanted a floor tom roll. He said, wait till you hear this thing. So I timed it. Lo and behold, I timed it. And he sort of looked at me like I really wasn't ready. And his cadenza went on for like 3 minutes. And I was just rolling on the floor tom. And it was just over and over. I'm like, okay, what did I learn from this situation? I really don't know, because he just said, when you hear this, play it. And I played it. So he changed up on me. The other one was we were at Wolf Trap, and it was actually funny. The show started, and it started with a B-flat timpani roll with Aretha coming out, and they introduced her 3 times. She did not come out, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Aretha Franklin." I'm on the jumbotron, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Aretha Franklin. I'm like looking around. She wasn't ready yet. Somebody had told us to go.
Yeah.
Large orchestra, and MD pointed to me, and so I'm like,
you had to go.
I had to go. So it's kind of what I did learn from that is, if it happens, just relax and practice long rolls and things like that. Because it's definitely exposed. So those are a couple of things that really stick out.
Very good, man. I know. I've had some funny things that's happened in my career. I know just what you're saying, man. Yeah. I want to jump in here and let our listeners, remind them that they are listening to Speaking of Jazz. and I'm your host, Manny Kellogg, and I'm coming your way every week with different guests. You have to tune in because every week is different, and as always, a surprise. Again, that's Manny Kellogg speaking of jazz. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, please email us at mkj.jazz.sppt@gmail.com. That's mkj.jazz@sppt@gmail.com. Enough for that, and I'll be back again talking about. But right now, I want to jump back in here with the master percussionist, Mr. Holloway. Come on back with it, Doc.
All right. So, any other interests or questions? I'm just having a ball talking with you. I was listening to some of your stuff today, man. It's just
really,
yeah, man. It's just a pleasure. Like I told you.
Oh man, thank you so much, man. You're just listening to that stuff, man. If we go back to the Billy Preston days, that goes back to almost 45 years ago, man.
Yeah, but still fresh.
Yes, and it's still being played to this very day.
Yeah, that means it's a testament how great it was.
Yeah. And I'm kind of proud to say this. I am this year I'm celebrating my 61st year behind the drum set, and I'll be 74 years old this year. And I thank God for allowing me to be here to share my story and to listen to my guest stories and have other musicians tell their stories. And along that note, man, I understand you have a book out. Let's talk about your book.
Oh yeah, as mentioned earlier, I play percussion, and when I was at Howard, it was so many great people there, and I was trying to find my way to navigate. And I had a couple of great teachers there, and one that stands out was Gary Rockwell. Was a great educator, got us into percussive arts and things like that. Just got the information.
Yes, sir.
It just got the information. It was very valuable. And I had another one that was Alfonso Pollard, and he studied with guys like Morris Goldenberg and Saul Goodman at Juilliard. So I got secondhand knowledge, although Howard wasn't known for orchestra or conservatory, but I've developed a relationship with him. And so long story short, over the years, I started playing more percussion than I did drum set for a long time.
Okay.
And so over the years, I had written exercises for my students. So I kept all those longhand pieces and exercises, and I put together a couple of books. So I actually have one book and about 7 ensemble pieces that are published.
Okay.
And the last couple, and they're being played by certain universities, and they're getting recorded videos and sending them to me. So the one that was most recent is called 21 Duets for Snare Drum and Timpani. And that was something that I could play along with students who came to my home studio and sort of keep them well-rounded. And it's on the solo ensemble list for Maryland, Virginia, and DC. And so I'm really excited about that. I had been self-publishing it for a long time, and I was able and very fortunate to have this publishing company, Permuse Percussion, pick it up. Mm-hmm. And so they can meet the needs and demands of wider distribution.
Fantastic, man. And if you would you like to share that with us where they can possibly purchase the book? Is it available now?
It's available now, permusepublications.com, or you can go to my website, gregholloway.dcjazz.org, and it's a direct link to the publishing company, and my library is there. I have a couple of self-publishing drum set books that's on the site that are you can get directly from me too.
Fantastic, man, fantastic. Well, staying in that right in that vein, what are you currently working on? Any recording or any tours or shows at this time?
No shows, no recordings. People call to do sessions. It may be okay. I just did a recent one. It's a tribute to Harriet Tubman's her 250th, I guess, birthday or anniversary of her beginning of the Underground Railroad. Mm-hmm. And working with this lady, Linda Harris, who manages the museum in Cambridge. So she wanted traditional music and playing washboards and things like that. So
really,
yeah, I had done some studying washboards and putting thimbles on my hands. And so just as a shameless plug, that project's going to be really nice.
And when is that supposed to come out?
It should be out this summer.
Okay.
Playing banjo. I mean, it's supposed to emulate slaves on a plantation with any instruments that's available. And so we got a lot of traditional spirituals that we're performing, and she's going to do the tour, for lack of a better phrase, on the same path of the Underground Railroad from South Carolina on up to New Jersey.
Fantastic.
But, just projects, just whatever people are calling for. And I'm just having a ball doing freelance work in this area. Friday night doing a tribute to Sonny Rollins at Westminster. And, I've been learning, I've listened to that music, but I've really been studying it to play it authentic as possible.
Yeah.
Pete LaRocca, Max Roach, and Elvin in that realm, not Elvin and Coltrane's. It's Elvin in that range.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So just being honest with that music and serving it. I mean, and then vocals that people come up with. I'm doing a tribute to Sarah, so I'm just learning that material for that, particular. Nancy Wilson. And you might have known my old teacher out there, Roy McCurdy.
Yeah.
That was my old teacher. I used to go, when I lived in California, I used to go up to his house in Pasadena. And he was prior Air Force too.
Really?
Yeah. And so, that's one of my old teachers. So the projects I'm working on, the freelance is keeping me busy,
I mean, that's a good thing, and I'm glad you're here, man, to share your stories with us. And once again, I want to remind our listeners that you're listening to Speaking of Jazz, and I'm your host, Manny Kellogg, and I'm coming to you every week with a different guest. And again, like I say, you never know who I'm going to have. It's a surprise every week. So I invite you to tune in and see just who's going to be on the show, because you never know until you tune in. And again, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, email us at mkj.jazz.sppt@gmail.com. And with that being said, we're going to jump back in here with my good friend, Mr. Greg Holloway. And how you doing, man? You still all right with me? You still with me?
I'm here. I'm just, I appreciate you, having me. I'm kind of a quiet guy, and I have an alter ego. I'm quiet until I play.
Yeah. Hey, I hear you.
I'm here. It's good. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak and share some stories and memories and see what the future has for us all.
Right. There's so many times that we do interviews, but we don't get a chance to tell our story.
Right.
And that's what this particular show is about, being able for the musicians to have a platform to tell their story on.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to be here. And I'm not going to let you off the hook just yet. I got something else coming your way.
Uh-oh.
And we haven't got to that. We haven't got to the uh-oh yet. What advice can you give? I know you're a mentor. What advice can you give to other young and up-and-coming musicians, drummers, percussionists, writers, and arrangers? Let's expound on that.
Yeah, that can be a whole show, but just to summarize, find somebody qualified to invest in what you want to do at an early age. I'll say it again, find somebody that's qualified, that knows your wishes and can honestly direct you on the right path. I think of the Williams sisters as tennis or Tiger Woods. They started young and they got some direction. So
right.
And find someone that you have a relationship with. So I've had some teachers that we butted heads, just personalities and things like that. But find somebody that's invested in you at an early age and get some strong fundamentals, because that's going to go with you throughout your entire life. Stay curious with music and stay open, stay humble. And I'm going to go back to the fundamentals. I mean, after playing so long, fundamentals, I still go back to fundamentals.
Okay. Yes, sir. You go back to 101, huh?
101. And keep an open mind and develop a musical appetite. Try not to, you don't want to eat hamburgers all the time.
I hear you.
The way you grow is, you don't have to play it, but, listen to it, give that kind of music a chance, because you never know where it's going to take you. This is a journey, not a destination.
That's right. That's right.
A journey, not a destination. Anything can happen, but it will behoove any of these folks that's developing. And me, I'm still learning daily. Every day I got to learn something. And it contributes to that whole reservoir of experience that I want to take on to the next level, and so just continue to work hard, work diligently, be honest with yourself. If you're not doing well with what you're doing, reevaluate it, do it again. Okay. Just by doing reps, it is not going to magically get better if you don't have any direction to get it done. And that's really, really important.
Right.
And at least from my perspective, I hear so many guys say, be who you are. You might not know who you are when you're 13 or 14, 15 or 21. Because,
that's true.
Life hasn't
developed, even started to develop.
Yeah. And so at 64, I'm not the same person I was at 54, hopefully. Just things things matriculate and you begin to mature and see the world out of a different lens that's going to affect your playing. And the experience in the world is going to influence your playing. I'm a firm believer you can't separate the two. You cannot separate the two. Do some reading and try to do the best, at least attempt to do the best in everything that you do, whether you're doing your schoolwork. You can't be average in that. I wasn't a great student until later because I had to learn how to learn. Back in those days, they just said, they teach you by rote or reading. But as I grew, my father was very instrumental and says, you have to learn how to learn. And that's a different thing. Learn how to learn. And once you learn how to learn and your learning style, things will become, I think, more fun and clearer to you. And you develop, I think you develop an open mind too.
That's a great piece of information there, man. I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. That's 100 on that, Yeah. Tell me I've never really had a chance to talk to anyone that's been in a military band. Tell me what it was like to be in that type of strenuous. Yeah.
It was a gig, and you take away the uniform, it's a gig, and it's very competitive because it's like a symphony. It's only so many spots in a band, and my audition was all day. I remember like it was yesterday. I went in. I took the audition at Langley Air Force Base down in Virginia. I went in. I sat in with the concert band. Had play everything they had set up: cymbals, mallets, just sight reading, cymbals, mallets, everything. Had a little break. Went into a private, a soundproof room, had to play a mallet solo that I had prepared. I had just finished my singing recital, so I already had Bach pretty much prepared. Had to do some rudiments, had a snare drum piece. Then I had lunch. Came back that afternoon for big band. They gave me Quiet Riot and then Malaguena. Sight read. Those Louis Bellson tunes. And then after that, had a short break, and then they wanted to hear me in combo. And then you do an interview. And so those spots, it's like a quarterback in the NFL. Those spots don't come up that much every few years. And so once you get past basic training, my normal day was rehearsing all day and playing concerts. Of course, there's some other stuff that goes along with it, but if you stay focused on the music, it's okay. Got a retirement, got benefits. And I had one of my teachers was in the military. And at that time, I'm like, man, I'm not going to do that until I talked to some of my friends who had auditioned and made the band, a band, whether it was Navy, Army, or whatever. And this is, man, you may like this. And at that time, I said, I'm just going to do 4 years because I was going to, still had eyes on New York. And I'm like, okay. I remember rehearsal, they came down and said, we have a special assignment for you in Italy. And I was going to get out that next week. And I said, no, the Italy, that might be pretty cool for 2 years. And then next thing I knew was 10 years. And I was like, I'm halfway done.
Yeah.
And so it was I played all day. I mean, and I got paid for it. So it's not for everybody. But I think if you talk to people around town who've been in the military, some great players that's retired. I mean, it's a great opportunity for me. Like I said,
yeah.
But it was good.
I had to ask that question because I've never been in the military. I've been around some military people. I think my uncle was in the Army, but as far as me getting in the Army or military per se, I've never traveled that road. So I've always wondered what it was like. I used to always like to go to the parades and see the bands come down the street, especially that doggone the Marine band. They kept playing that big old bass drum.
Yeah.
And every time you hit the bass drum, everybody's foot was hitting the same way, man. That was exciting to me,
They work on that. And, it's for historical perspective, Coltrane was in the Navy band.
Okay.
When I went to Hawaii, Hickam, Pearl Harbor's right next door to the Hickam, the Air Force Base. I went to their band room and I knew Coltrane was there. And I just wanted to see if they had any mementos. He's playing clarinet on the wall. Pictures of him playing clarinet. So many people were Buck Clayton. It's a couple of pictures of him when he was recording with Charlie Parker. The Heath brothers, Philly Joe. Philly Joe was he was a security policeman, but he hung out in the band barracks all the time, and that's how he really got into the rudiments.
Okay,
and so it was a lot of people, a lot of musicians who've traveled that route. David Garibaldi was in the Air Force band.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, he was stationed up in Seattle, Washington, McCord, Gap Magione. So
yes,
a lot of guys that traveled that route, And when you think about it, it's only if you go to school of music, or if you're looking for a full-time job, it's only so many jobs out there to play full-time. And places like Vegas, Atlantic City, all those places closed down as far as live music.
That's right. They're running tracks.
Yeah. And I've sort of transitioned when I lived in California and going to Vegas. I mean, it was like, I remember the line, Sammy Davis Jr. was holding a poster. Tape is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's military bands. If you need to polish some things and you're able to get into one of the bands, and you can digest some of the other stuff. And you're not really around, I didn't have to do the combat and all that other stuff. You go to basic training. And one thing about the Air Force Band, the Air Force by nature are more admin oriented people, and the officers are the one who do go combat.
Really?
Yeah, they fly the planes. The listeners, they take care of the business aspect, where the Army, Navy, and the Marines, they're soldiers first. And for me, I was a musician first.
Okay.
And so that's the difference.
Man, that's so fantastic, man. I mean, you just filled my head with a lot, man, that I just never knew, and I thank you for that. I'm coming at you from the hip, man, with another PowerPoint.
Okay.
Strap up.
All right, I'm ready. Bring it.
All right, it's coming, Doc. It's coming. What is jazz to Greg Holloway?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, for me, just that whole word jazz, and my daughter's name is Jazz, and she's a grown adult, and jazz can take many forms. In my opinion, it could be unpredictable, and sometimes look at my daughter, I'm like, yeah, you're unpredictable, and and it's a way, for me, it's a way to really be yourself.
Yeah. Expression.
Right. If I'm playing a pocket is a pocket is a pocket. But, if I'm playing Night in Tunisia, I can go a couple of different directions each night. And that's encouraged to go those different directions. And it's a way to, it's a couple of different points I want to make. First, it's America's only art form. And the instruments that you and I play is the only American instrument that's used in the jazz idiom. It's the drums. Everything else is European.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a personal connection for me. I'm playing American only instrument, and I get a chance to experiment. And that instrument is the youngest instrument out of all those instruments that's used in the jazz idiom. The drum set.
Yes.
And so it's a way for me to bring integrity to that art form. I remember playing in the symphony, and I'm sitting on my temps with a tuxedo and so forth. And your mindset is you have to behave and look a certain way. And, in a jazz idiom, we shouldn't take any shortcuts with that either, in order to keep it going. And it's the way to explore and express, stretch the music. You have your pure traditionalists. And I think also it is a word, but the way I like to describe it is just internal, external expression and a way to create.
Okay.
On the spot, on a high level on the spot. I mean, on the, high level on the spot, not dancing,
Yeah.
It's no joke. And the way I approach it is I was talking to a friend of mine, every performance is an audition for me.
There's no two performances the same when you're playing jazz.
Right. And you never know, especially with technology, you never know who's listening.
That's right.
Somebody texts me, I just saw you on YouTube. I'm like, okay, I hope everything was good. So, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, the world is seeing me for the first time, or has the potential to see me for the first time, or anybody's performing. And yesterday's gig, good or bad, is not the same as tomorrow's gig.
That's right.
And so forth. So, it's a way to express myself. And it's my safe zone to express myself, too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, it couldn't have been better said, man. And you'd be surprised. Each week I ask that question, and you'd be surprised at the people to say, I don't know, But I mean, I think you're the first one that's really expressed and given me a good a good answer on what is jazz and what it meant to you. And like I said, you'd be surprised at the heavy cats that I've had that said the same thing. Or, I don't know, or hard to answer that question. And thank you so much for doing that, man. You just knocking me out, man.
Oh, thank you. It's even some of my colleagues, they hate the word, they hate to be put in a box. But the other side of the story, if you get an opportunity to share your feelings about it, that may clear up some misconceptions about what it is to people who want to know.
Yeah,
who can't hear it. It's some people can't hear classical, some people can't hear rap, some people can't hear jazz. It's a high form of intellect. Playing that music on the spot.
Yeah, man.
Like you have music in front of you telling you what to play every night. You may have guidelines in the chart, but it's yeah. So I might have offended some listeners, but
hey man, that's what the show is about, is being able to express yourself and talk from your heart, man. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And listeners, jazz lovers, with that being said, I think my man has just knocked us all out. He's knocked me out of my seat. And I was so grateful for you to be able to come and share with us, man, this week. And I look forward to having you back again for a part 2, and we'll continue, and again, thank you from my heart, man. You're just a wonderful person. And even though I'm looking at you on the screen and listening to you, I feel your soul and your heart, man. And I love you from there. I mean that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Deacon. I mean, how I feel about you, just that history, it's totally different. And I mean, it's like I was telling my wife, I'm like, I just met this gentleman and, I was telling her, your history.
Yes.
He just called me to check on me. I'm like, that made my day.
Oh, bless your heart.
And I think, what you're doing and how you're reaching people, that keeps things going. And in the way the world is now, that keeps things going too.
Thank you, man. I thank you. I'm doing my best, and I love what I'm doing. Because I'm trying to hit everybody, especially my jazz lovers. And everybody that knows me I love to swing and I love jazz. And again, I want to remind everybody that you've been listening to Speaking of Jazz, and I'm Manny Kellogg, your host. I'm coming to you every week, and you see with a different guest, and you never know who's going to be on the show. It's always different. It's always fresh every week. And the only thing I can say is tune in next week and see who my guest will be. And I love everybody for tuning in. Again, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, email me at mkj.jazz.spt@gmail.com. Man, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. And as I always say, Doc, like you do all the time, keep swinging, man.
All right. The blessings to you. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to tell my story.
Thank you, man. There's going to be a part 2. You can count on that one, man.
All right. I'm waiting for it. Thank you.
God bless your heart. We'll see you another time.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you for keeping jazz alive. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels. All the links are in the podcast description.